What is up, everyone? My name is Michael Pohl with Bay Area Aquatics, and today we're going to be reviewing Fluval's E-Series aquarium heaters. Alright, so these are the newest heaters that Fluval's put out. They're, I want to say, a couple years old at this point, but fairly new. They make them in a couple of different sizes. They make a 50 watt, a 100 watt, a 200 watt, and a 300 watt, all for various size aquariums, depending on what you need. Going over a couple of the basic specs real quick. It's a fully submersible heater. It's got a built-in heater guard, which is kind of nice. And it's an aquarium heater. I mean, there's not really too much to talk about, but there is a couple of features that make this thing stand out. It is kind of on the pricey side, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But the big feature that makes this heater stand out is the fact that it's got an LCD screen on it. And so the one that I have right here is the 300 model. I was gonna pull it out of the tank. It's actually in my 75 right here, but I just didn't feel, it's probably right about there. You can probably see the screen. I just didn't feel like pulling it out and disconnecting it and that, so I've just got the box here. But it's got an LED screen on it. You can kind of see it in the picture here. If the light doesn't, there we go. LED screen on it, along with this little red lever up top where you can choose your aquarium temperature. It gives a live time readout. It increases the temperature up or down by ½ degree. So if you want to set it for 78, you just flip this lever up until it hits 78, or flip it down depending on where it comes at. It comes preset at 77 degrees Fahrenheit for US markets. In non-US markets, it comes preset at a Celsius. I don't know which Celsius. And then this is the big feature. This is kind of like the money maker. The LED screen changes colors depending on what the aquarium is experiencing. And this is kind of their, I forget what they call it, their alarm or alert system, their view tech monitoring or whatever. And so basically, if your aquarium goes 2 degrees hotter than what it's set at on the heater, the screen turns red. And that kind of lets you know that, the aquarium's overheating or it's going hot or whatever the reason may be. And if it gets too cold and goes 2 degrees under where it's set at, it turns blue. If it's regular, if it's within that 2 degree thing, it stays green. It's a really cool kind of quick glance feature for a display tank or something. If the heater is going to be visible, it's definitely kind of nice to have. That's the other thing that I really like is I run black backgrounds, and so it's one of the only heaters that comes with that black heater guard, and so it actually kind of blends in. Minus the LED screen, obviously, it pops a screen on the tank. It's not too bright, it's not that big of a deal. Most heaters have some sort of LED indicator light or something. So if it's gonna be, for me, my viewing angle is actually slightly above the tank, so the LCD screen's blocked by the trim on my, when I'm standing up looking at the tank. So for me, it actually blends in completely, and I don't notice it until I sit down in front of the tank or I lean down into it, but that's just kind of a, random thing. I've been using this heater for about a week, so I haven't used it for a super long time. There's several people, Aquarium Co-op was big on them. I think he sells these still. I talked to Trent Weldon over at Weldon Aquatics because he runs both these and the Eheim Jagers, which are the other aquarium heaters that I run, and he really likes these. And so I was having, trouble debating on whether or not I wanted to spend the extra money on it, and decided to go ahead and spend the extra money on it just to try it. And so that's kind of my first con about these, is these are expensive. I wrote it down right here. I paid $45.68 for the 300 watt version. The Eheim Jager equivalent is $32.06, so almost $15 difference, $13 technically. And then the Aquarium version is $22.20, so less than half the price. It's kind of one of those, it's a lot of money for a heater like this, and but it's nice. Now, if you were putting heaters in your sump, I probably would not go with the Fluval here. I would either go with the Eheim Jagers or like an Aquarium. Personally, I'd probably go with the Eheim Jagers just because they're reliable and they've been around a lot longer than most of the heaters out there. But if you're like me and I don't run a sump on my 75, it's just a display tank, the heater's got to be in the tank either way. I really like the Fluval. I like the live monitoring. It's only one tank. All the other tanks are small. I don't have a million tanks like some people do. So for me, I like the heater. I think it's definitely worth it if you've got just a couple of tanks. I'm trying to find the 50 watt version because I actually really do like them. And I need to replace the heater in my pea puffer tank. And I might pull the one from the beta tank and move it into the quarantine tank because that quarantine heater is about to go. Or maybe even put one up for the quarantine tank because I'm running hot temperatures, and it'd be nice to just see that. So I'm not sure yet, but nowhere locally to me sells the 50. They only sell the 300 and the 200, and so that's kind of an issue for me. Another con that this heater has is it has flow issues. So having the heater guard built around it means that the water doesn't always flow through the heater very easily, and the thermostat unit is up at the top. And so if you don't have the thermostat turned at a 45-degree angle, or like a power head or something hitting it, a lot of times you'll get a flow, I think it's an LF warning, which is low flow. And what that means is there's not enough water pushing through it, and you tend to see the temps go high. So for me, I started it straight up and down because I just wanted to see if it was gonna happen. I put it in a fairly high flow area of my tank, and I was still having that issue. I also found that when it tended to have the low flow warning, the temperature on the thing rose, and as soon as I turned it or moved it or like splashed a little bit of water towards it, the temperature dropped like 2 or 3 degrees. So I think what's happening is the thermostat or the heater turns on and it heats up the water around it, and then the water can't escape, and then all of a sudden it thinks it's heating the aquarium. And yeah, and so that's kind of a big downfall. Not the biggest fan of that, but you know, turning it at a 45-degree angle, I don't know if you can see it in there or not, I really can't tell. Isn't really that big of a deal. I run most of my other heaters at about a 45-degree angle simply because it's just easier. But that's just something to keep in mind. It also comes with a side mounting thing, so you can mount it on the side of your aquarium. I'm not a big fan of that look, but you know, if that's what you want to do, it has that option. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So kind of summarizing it, it's a good heater. It's definitely on the pricey side. This would be the heater I would buy for your display tank or something, you know, your main tank that you're gonna look at all the time. It's not the one I would buy for a sump. It's not the one I would buy if I'm putting like 20 heaters in a fish room. Unless you have the money to spend. They're not bad heaters. I think they're really nice, but they are definitely on the pricey side. But if you're looking for just a single heater or 1 or 2 heaters or even 3 or 4 heaters just for, you know, you're a hobbyist and you want to have a nice, you know, they're made by Fluval. Fluval obviously has good brand recognition. Like I said, they haven't been around as long as Eheim Jager, so I don't know what the reliability on them is going to be, especially with the LED screen. But I know several people have been running them pretty much since they came out, running just fine. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. So I'm going to go ahead and leave links to the Fluval heaters on Amazon down below. I'm also going to leave the Eheim Jagers and the Aqueons that I was talking about. I've used the Eheims, haven't used the Aqueons before, but I know they're very popular just because of the price. Let me know down in the comments below, have you tried the Fluvals? Are you running these? Do you know someone that's running them? What's been your experience with them? I'm kind of curious on what everyone else, it's the first time that I bought one of these, so curious on what your experience with them is. Everyone I've talked to so far that has one has loved it, minus the flow issue. That's the one thing that I hear negative things about, but you know, what can you do? If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload a video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.